All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us. This is the Freedom Vendor Spotlight, and I have with me John Chukayne. We've known each other for a long time, actually. Is it 3 years or 4 years?
Longer. I think 5 or 6 years now.
Wow. Makes me feel old. So 5 years, possibly six. I'll have to do the math. I'll have to look back. Really, the spotlight is always just give an opportunity to chat with our vendors and to get to know you more on a personal level. Of course, we know you're a great loan officer with C&F Mortgage, but at the same time, we all know that it's building relationships with the people. That's what it's all about. So I know a ton about you, but if someone hasn't met you before, or if they do, maybe just in passing, like, can you give me a little background of like maybe your background as far as you growing up, like what have you been exposed to, things like that, just so we have some context of kind of how you grew up and became the dad and the husband and the loan officer that you are right now. So give me a little rundown.
Cool. Well, first I want to say thanks, Drew, for having me.
Yeah.
Doing this is really cool. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. Went to college, left Cleveland, went to college in Rhode Island, same as Drew. Left Indiana and went to college in Rhode Island at Johnson and Wales.
Midwest to the East Coast. Yep.
So I was right down, kind of down the road in Newport at Salve Regina, and living in the lap of luxury on the beach, among the mansions, so to speak, and
literally,
75 acres on the water. With
so
mansions.
Why the heck did you not stay there? What happened?
So Newport's really interesting because it's very much a tourist town. So it's kind of like a lot of restaurant industry and hotels, and it all kind of shuts down in the wintertime.
I remember that now that you said that. Yeah, because it's freezing. It's freaking cold. Yeah,
it's cold. It's sunny out, which is cool. Like it's not gunmetal gray like it was where we grew up. It's sunny, but it's cold, and you have 35-mile-an-hour winds coming off the ocean, and it's a little frigid. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't going to stay in the restaurant industry my whole life. I mean, I did that in college and in high school, and so did my wife. And certainly we continue that, up in Rhode Island. But I decided to go in the Army, so I did ROTC through college, and so after my graduation, I shipped off to actually all over the United States for a while.
Where's the coolest place you've ever, like, not Richmond, of course, but where have you traveled with the Army that's probably the coolest place, whether it's kid friendly or not? What do you think is the coolest place you've ever lived with the Army?
This is a loaded question.
It is, yes.
The place that I liked the most that I lived, no kidding, was Manhattan, Kansas.
What is even in Manhattan, Kansas? I don't even know there is
Kansas State. Go Wild.
Oh, okay. All right,
but I was stationed there. Right outside Manhattan is Fort Riley, Kansas.
Gotcha.
And so I lived like amongst a bunch of college kids while I was making really good money, and there was a huge bar scene there, and it was a lot of fun. So that was my favorite installation that I was at. It was a lot of fun. I originally, when I got my orders, I was like, wow, this sucks. Like, I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere.
I would have been like, where's Dorothy? And it's like the Wizard of Oz. I don't even know.
Right, exactly. And as I started to talk to people that had been stationed there, they're like, no, just like keep an open mind, and you'll see when you get there, it's actually a great place. And they were not wrong. We had the opportunity to kind of get around and travel a little bit from there, because it's pretty central to the United States. So we flew from there to Chicago. We visited Kansas City a bunch. We drove to Colorado. So we were able to kind of get around a little bit from there too, and see some stuff that.
So how many, you may not know the answer to this, but how many states have you, places have you lived? Have you added them all up? Like all the states, all the cities? Because I know obviously with military, you moved around a lot, and then literally just mentioned, Newport, you mentioned Ohio, and like, have you added up how many places you've lived so far in your life?
No.
I did it the other day, and I was at like 10. And so like, it's just crazy, like 10 different states, 10 different cities, and how you can rebuild or create, like you said, the varsity in the school, like each location, you kind of find a groove and a rhythm. I always find that's fascinating that you literally can transplant somewhere else and just do it all again. So
Yeah, more than 5. Let's just put it that
yeah,
way. I've lived in more than 5 states.
yeah. Oh, cool. So I know a lot about you, and I know that you got a lot of different passions, but sports obviously is one. So give us a little breakdown of your, I would say, obsession a little bit, but what your passion behind some of the sports that you do. So I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, so like I played hockey and baseball basically my whole life, but I mean I played tennis 1 year in high school. I ran cross country like in middle school, like I ran track in middle school. I golf. I tried to play the lacrosse in college. Like I did all kinds of stuff. But
have you ever played rugby before?
No, no, I've not. I had a bunch of college friends that played rugby and they wanted to get me to play, and I was like, I'm kind of.
I would think you'd be good. I have a buddy that's University of Richmond, and he was the coach there. I think he still is. And like I never had gone to a rugby game, and so I go to the game, and they like hold. I mean, they're big guys, and they like hold you up like you're this. I don't even know, like a trophy,
like a totem pole almost.
Yes,
they like
exactly.
lift you up out of the ground.
What are they doing? And then they do these. Anyways, I am the most least athletic. You play on tons of sports, but I was just fascinated by that sport. I'm just curious that was not a sport you picked up, because I would think,
no,
based on your competition and your skill, you probably could whoop somebody's butt there.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not that big, so I might not.
There's some big guys, but then there's some scrappy guys,
little guys too.
Quick little guys that can get in and out. So anyway, I digress.
But so hockey was like my big sport, and that's the one sport that I've kind of stuck with and been around now for a really long time. Last year was my 32nd year being involved in hockey. From playing to coaching. I still coach. I coach at the University of Richmond. I coach the club team. So I help out doing that. My stuff. I make so much money too. It's great. All $0 I make a year.
Very high profit.
But it's a lot of fun. I like being around the kids, and I call them kids because they're all like 18, 19 years old.
I think the older you get, the younger they look. Like
it's crazy, but they do bring some bring some energy to your life that is much needed sometimes. Like a good laugh coming back from a game on the bus, like
because the stuff they talk about, you're like, oh, you're a baby. You like don't even know how the world works now.
Yeah, some of the stuff that they talk about, I have to just pretend like I didn't hear, and but they have some hilarious stories that they tell, and the reality is University of Richmond's it's a very good school, so they're good kids, like truly just really good guys. And most of them are pretty damn good hockey players, to be honest. So I do that. I coach a little bit little kids too. On Sundays, I do a little bit of learn to play.
Which I know you, and I find that a little fascinating, because I have zero patience. Like I will punch someone in the throat because you're so annoying.
I'm the same way. I have no patience.
I know you're the same way. So tell me the secret of, because I think I did 3 years of like Sunday school at our church, and God bless them. After the third year, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I love kids, but how do you have the patience to teach hockey to kids? And I know your personality, you have a pretty, like myself, have that short patience level. How do you
I think it's expectation management. I use that that was a term that I picked up in the military, but it truly is. It's really just like you have to manage your expectations and know what these kids are doing, where they're at, and what you're trying to accomplish. So for the little kids, it's really just, let's go have fun. Let's get out on the ice and bang some pucks around and, work on basic fundamentals of skating and just being out on the ice and having fun. And the cool thing about the little kids, and I tell the parents this all the time, they're like, I don't know how you teach these kids how to skate and how you get them to do this. And I always say to them, like, these kids are 5 years old. Did you teach your kid how to walk?
Yeah.
They just
they've
figure it
learned on
out.
their
If
own.
you get them out on the ice and you keep them engaged, they just
Yeah.
kind of figure it out on their own. So
Yeah.
it's actually a lot of fun to watch.
Or myself, I never learned and I'll just fall over. But that's just because
But when you're, and that's the thing,
fairly
like when you're older, like once you're like 12 or 13 or 14 years old, it gets really hard to skate because you know what pain is, and you also
it's
have
a
a lot
mindset. It's
farther to
mentally,
fall.
yeah.
So like when you do fall, like it hurts a
hurts,
lot more. But
and you
when
break
you're only
bones.
like, 30 inches tall anyways, or whatever, a normal
Yeah.
5-year-old is, like you're not falling that far. So
True. Yeah. So you play hockey. That's a good release for you. That's a good way to kind of keep some energy going. And then so give me a little update on the family, because you just had a new arrival. So you have a new baby in the house. So give me a little rundown of how that's going. You look rested. You look like you're sleeping. That's
yeah, I feel bad saying this. I'm well rested. My wife is not.
Yeah. It's usually one takes one for the other team. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, and she, so she's obviously home on maternity leave. So she's kind of taking the stick and running with it, so to speak. And doing really well. But the baby, he's just about 4 weeks old now. So he's starting to fall into a routine.
What's his name?
Cute. William Elliott.
Nice. And then you have one more kid, right?
Yep. I have an older son, Robert, who's 5. Yeah. He'll be 6 here coming up in November.
I love both of those names. They're such like classic names, but I love that. I mean, Emma is my daughter. Like, I love those old school classic names. Is that
so it's funny because my mom, her brothers are named Bob and Bill, and
I like that.
She doesn't like either of them.
Oh,
so she was kind of a little bit mad, but
just a little bit. I mean, so how did you guys pick the names? Was it on purpose, like you wanted to connect it to some type of family, or you just thought those were cool names? And who picked them? You get to pick them, or did your wife?
My first son, Rob, I wanted to name him after my grandfather. I was super close with my grandfather. And I'm named after my grandfather, so his name was Robert John, and my name is John Robert.
That's cool.
So we came up with Robert for the first name,
right.
And then honestly, for my second son, we really had no idea what we were going to name him until.
Oh, really? So you didn't even, up to when he was born, you were like, "What are we going to?"
Yeah, I mean, even after he's born, they're like, "Okay, like you got to fill this out," and we're like, ah. So that's
amazing.
We had a little bit of a back and forth, and
so who came up with William? Was it yours or her idea?
I think it was my wife. That was my wife's idea. So
those are cool.
And I was all right with it. I mean,
so are you gonna have more kids? Are you gonna shoot for a girl, or you're like, nope, boys, we're good? 2. Perfect. Nice.
I think once you're outnumbered, then you got issues.
Yeah, I agree with that. And girls, knowing, because I only have a girl, they're a different animal. I mean,
well, it's interesting because my wife doesn't really want to have a girl. She was like really glad that.
That's actually very common, isn't it?
Because my wife's not like a girly. She's not like super girly, She's like, I don't know how to braid hair and like fix tiaras and do all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
little girls.
My daughter was the girl's girl. Like there was glitter. We'd be in the dryer. Would be running, and it's like clinkety clank. It's because all the glitter on her outfits. It was a mess. But now she wears nothing but black and gray and wears hoodies, sweatshirts because she doesn't want anything to do with the world.
That's called being comfortable. I like it.
Yeah, that's a teenager too. All right, so cool. That's I feel like a good, well-rounded, like, if I would like to speed date with you, that would be like exactly what it is. You got a little background, little family dynamic. What is one thing that's like weird, quirky, odd about you that you want to tell us? Something like that was completely off the wall. Your favorite food, movie, random. What would be something just odd that I would have no clue? And I've known you for up to 6 years now. Like, what do I not know about you that you can think of?
I don't know how much of it is PG shareable.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Just the one thing.
I'm definitely a weird guy. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I
So what
don't
does
have,
that mean?
I mean,
Weird?
Drew, you posted something on Facebook the other day about how you were weird. And I was like, I could totally relate to this because I am. I mean, I have a, a really strange sense of humor from being in the military. So,
Yeah.
um,
So like, what's
just,
humor to you? Because I have a very different humor than I feel like than some people. I have a pretty dry humor, and I'm a smartass. So like, I'll say stuff that's probably offensive, and I'm genuinely not trying to be like that. It's just I think it's funny.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just see like, I just, some like the darker side of humor. I'm just like, I mean, I could see the humor in that where other
yeah.
people are like, that's grotesque
So
or
you're so
that's
the unique thing is you think your humor is a little darker than maybe the average Joe.
probably like
So
things
that's
that
like
people don't find funny. I probably might chuckle at.
yeah. So that's it. There's no other hidden secret. There's no little. I'm trying to think of anything I know that I could ask you, but I think that's all right. So what type of like is there a trilogy? Is there any like movies? Are you like Harry Potter, Star Wars? Like is any of that kind of stuff your thing? Or you're like, no.
I'm like anti that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Okay. I
So
like that.
I guess I'm like a really like a cult classic movie kind of guy. So like
So
probably
what's
my
like
favorite movie is like The Big Lebowski or like
oh
Mallrats, like those like
yeah,
Pulp
that's
Fiction type.
yes. Yeah. Okay, that
Like
totally makes sense. That totally
yeah,
makes
so like I've
yeah,
if it wasn't for my 5-year-old, I would have never seen a Marvels movie ever. Like
yeah.
I
So
don't
that's
know, I
just
don't care.
definitely so you like those Marvels or like Harry Potter or whatever,
Yeah,
all
Harry
those
Potter
that stuff is not your thing, but
never
you
read the
definitely like
books.
that,
No.
like those classic, but it actually kind of makes sense because that I knowing your personality and knowing your humor, like Pulp Fiction totally would be like in my
Oh yeah,
like that's totally your jam. I think that would totally make
right.
sense. All right, cool. So obviously you're a loan officer with C&F Mortgage. Um, and you have a little background on that, right? Because you haven't been a loan officer forever. So do you still have your real estate license or did you put that in
No.
active? Yeah. So you got your real estate license 5 or 6 years ago. That's when I think I met you. And then you went through that. You did the typical real estate stuff, right? You got the training. You had a coach kicking your butt, me, and you did all those things. And then you woke up one day and was like, I think I'm gonna transition being a loan officer instead. Walk me through like where that turn went. It
Yeah, so
relates to
it's
loans and real estate, but that obviously transitions differently than maybe a traditional loan officer. So
yeah, so I did the real estate, the agent thing, and it just wasn't a great fit for me. It just wasn't great, and honestly, like my family situation at the time, it just wasn't conducive.
yeah,
So I went back to what I was good at doing and what I did in the military, which was supply chain. And I
yeah,
did that for a while. And in the meantime, obviously, like our family situation changed. My wife got promotions. Like we had all kinds of different stuff happen.
you
And
guys moved too.
yeah, we moved. I mean,
Yeah.
so this opportunity came about and I was like, okay, like now I can do this and be comfortable doing it.
So you could have chosen any being a loan officer similar loosely as real estate agent. You have to take a class, you have to do all the things, pass the test, become licensed just like a real estate agent did. You could have hang your license at any loan officer, any bank in town. Why do you think you gravitated towards C&F?
So when I had my real estate license, one of the deals that I did was with C&F, with actually who my boss now.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was smooth. I mean, the transaction was smooth. And if you live in Richmond or you're around Richmond, you see C&F Bank
Everywhere.
everywhere. I mean, they're around. And then if you've operated in, the Richmond MSA for a while, you've probably done a deal with C&F as a
Yeah.
realtor. And I would say typically they're probably go pretty well because we're
Yeah.
well trained. We have really good processors. We have good underwriting team. And we do a good job. So I think that was kind of what sold me on C&F. Obviously, the bank has been around for 95 years, and then the mortgage company has been around for 25 years
I was
now.
gonna say at least 20 years. Yeah. So
And like if you go back like the last 2 years, we've closed over $2 billion worth of loans. That's a lot of money. 2 billion.
I did not know that. I don't think they advertised that enough, by the way. But you had this perception of what C&F was when you were a real estate agent, and then you're now behind the scenes, like you're in the trenches at C&F every day now. What would be their perception versus reality? What did you think C&F was as a real estate agent, and then now that you're in it full time and see the inner workings behind the scenes? So as a real estate agent, we don't see that. So what do you think? What's the biggest thing that is contrasting between your perspective of agent view versus loan officer view now?
Well, I don't know if it was so much C&F as it would have been like any mortgage company, just how many people are involved in getting a loan done.
Right.
And then I think what I didn't know about C&F previous to like working here and starting to process loans and process applications and do all that stuff is the amount of knowledge that is within the building is just immense. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Like my processor has been processing loans for 30 years. Like,
yeah, I definitely think that's huge because, I mean, you're only the sum of all the people around you, right? I mean, yes, you're a great loan officer. They're probably great real estate agents, but if you have a whole room full of just smart, creative people, because you do need some creativity sometimes in the loan process to make it all legal, but also get to the closing table. So okay, good. Well, I thought that was a good inside track because coming from almost the agent side and then funneling through on the loan side, I think that's an advantage. I think there's a lot of great loan officers, but sometimes I'm not going to put anyone's name up there, is they forget what the hustle looks like on the agent side, and they forget, or they don't even know, they don't have that perspective. They were not a real estate agent. So I think the one thing I love about your perspective is that when you're working with your clients, which really is the agent,
correct,
not necessarily the buyer, even though it's connected, you understand the hustle, you understand they have to lead generate, you understand that they want more referrals, because that's obviously how you as a loan officer want to build your business. So I think that gives a little bit of a perspective on how you're communicating with an agent.
And I think the cool thing is, like, especially when I sit down with newer agents, I'm able to go back to some of the training that I got from you of, hey, this is stuff that's tried and true and tested and works. Door knocking neighborhoods for open houses, doing your, what is it, 2x2? Is that what you call it? Where you go in 2 blocks in each direction. I mean, I've talked to newer agents about doing that. And I'm like, hey, if you want me to work an open house with you, I'll go door knock with you. And that way we could do it twice as fast. You hit one side of the street and I'll hit the other.
I think that's very unique. And I think that's not a lot of what you get from different loan officers. And you're doing it genuinely to obviously build a relationship, get some deals. I mean, we joked about it. We're not in a nonprofit business. We want to make money. All of us, that's
what we're here for.
So ideal, we at Freedom Companies, when we have new people coming into coaching, we want to get a referral, right? And you want to get a referral as well, right? We know, regardless of what sales business you're in, that it's much easier to convert or to get leads of people that already know you, they already like you, and they know you do a good job, right? So what's your ideal real estate agent client that if you were to magically create them on earth, what do you think they would like? How do you think you'd vibe or jive with like a particular type of agent or personality?
So, I mean, the agents that I get the most referrals from, I have one family friend that I do get some referrals from, a friend of my dad's. But the ones that I've self-targeted that I've got the most referrals from are young hustlers. I mean, people that are out there and they're climbers, they want to get the business. They want, they want to increase
their income,
throughput, so to speak.
So you you definitely want somebody that's hustling just as hard as you are, or as hungry, whether it's financial or success driven. So I think you need to find like-minded people like that, because there's different agents, no harm, no foul, but they're a different season in their life. They're kind of transitioning out of the business, or they don't want to hustle as hard. I totally get and respect that. There's a season for everything, but you want to definitely have those young people that are like really in the mindset of let's build something big and do it, right?
Yeah, I mean that, and obviously the age is important too. I mean, you're
Yeah.
much more likely to,
Connect.
have a good connection with people that are the same age as you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean that
So
for whatever reason, like old women love me, I guess.
I was gonna actually just say that. Literally, I was gonna say you talk about age, but the weirdest part is that I know like you also attract like like an older, like you do really well with people that are older, like clientele, like buyers that are, you do well with them, and even agents. So it's funny how you want to attract that, but you still do well with.
Is that like Drew, do you find that to be like a Midwest quality
Yeah,
where
actually, now
where
you
we're very like almost
I don't know
wanna
what it
sound
is. It's
terrible
like
about it, but
it's like a where yes, I do. I mean, being from the mid
like
or
you're almost like a shapeshifter kind of like where you
yeah,
can
like a
just kind of like
chameleon.
blend in and
Yeah,
connect with a lot of different
yeah,
types of
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Um,
I definitely
but
think that. I definitely think that. And maybe people just disagree if they're from originally from the East Coast or New York, but like I think we can. I think Midwesterns generally very stereotyping here, but we can walk into a room and kind of feel the vibe and then just kind of blend in. I call it a chameleon because I can kind of, if I need to be high energy, I'll be high energy. If I want to chill out, I need to chill out. If I'm need to be a little older or a little younger, like I can kind of adapt. And I don't know if that's a Midwest thing, but I think it's connected to our just how we were raised. So
right.
so you are a newer loan officer. So there's a lot of loan officers. I literally think there's probably just as many loan officers as there's real estate agents. I don't know how many loan
I know
officers there are, but
it's
there.
crazy.
But like
It's
I bump
crazy.
into realtors and loan officers about almost equal. Like I'm like, oh, what do you do for a living? And they're always a realtor or they're a loan officer. So,
Right.
and kind of the hustle of building a business when you were kind of doing the real estate thing. Like, why would somebody use you? That's just got kind of getting into the business, so to speak, versus maybe a senior person that's been in loan office for 20 years. What do you think is different about you that would maybe make you stand out amongst the crowd of loan officers in Richmond?
I just want to do a good job. I mean, I think really the way to answer that question is to talk about why I do this.
Yep.
And the reason is because I truly do believe in the power of home ownership. It's important for communities. It's important for individuals. It's important for building generational wealth. I mean, you can do all of that stuff through home ownership.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
own your own
the
house.
proof is in the pudding. I mean, I've done
investment
it. I did it
properties.
myself.
Right. Yeah.
The two houses that we've owned in Richmond, we've made a ton of money off of.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really like, I didn't grow up with a ton of money. I grew up with very little money. I was pretty poor, to be quite honest. My family was not very well off.
Yeah. Mine as well. I think that traditional blue collar or Midwestern family was pretty much what I was. We were literally, my mom worked in a factory. So, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, but I agree. I think that it gives you perspective of like, why are we doing this?
But I mean, to that end, I guess my point is like, I want to, I want to make deals work for people. I want to put people in, not just a loan. I want to put them in the right loan that fits for their budget, that, helps them build wealth, that is, attainable. Not just, hey, let's jam a 3% conventional loan down your throat.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. You're good with numbers. I mean, you look at everybody's situation that I know of on the loan side of things, and you really try to crunch numbers and make the products and all the, down payment, all the ingredients to a loan really fit that person based on their financial plan. And if they don't have a financial plan, you're kind of almost like walking them through long-term and short-term things. So, I mean, I'm awful with numbers. I'm not a math definitely not, math is not my, but you are really, what direction you're taking someone in the loan process based on the numbers, the financing, based on all the overlays that, C&F has. So I think that's incredible to know, even though you're a younger loan officer. I know many loan officers that have been in the business a while, and I feel like we're wandering in the desert with no numbers and they don't know the rules. And that's very frustrating when you're trying on the agent side to be able to get this buyer pre-approved and then move things around to get the contract to match up right. So
Yeah, I mean, I think if I could give advice to realtors, it would be know a little bit about loans.
yeah,
It
Yeah.
will help you increase your business. It will help you increase your throughput of and be able to really weed out like clients that are going to go nowhere really quick.
yeah, waste your time.
Um,
Yeah.
And
So
and you could do that with just a simple conversation.
Yeah.
And I think really like the relationship between the loan officer and the realtor, I mean, there should be an educational piece to that. Like if the loan officer is not teaching you something, as you go through deals together, you might be partnered with the wrong person.
Yeah, definitely you're not taking advantage of the relationship as far as a win-win on that overall. So
And it's the same. I mean, it goes the same way for me. Like I'm constantly asking realtors that I partner with, like, what's going on in the market? Like, what are you guys
Yeah.
seeing? How are you winning deals? How are you, struck? And obviously I get to see the deals that come across my desk. I get to see the contract and see how they're structured and what it looks like. But it's interesting two-way conversation to have with somebody.
Yeah.
Here's how I can help you, educationally, and here's how you can keep me relevant on your side of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the easiest way if we have somebody that we want to get pre-qualified, the best way to get a hold of you? I think you have an app that you sent me. Like, what's the best way? Just grab your cell number and just text you? Are you better with email? Like, I know you're busy. I know everyone's busy. What's the best way to send you referrals or to ask you questions about something?
So we're over the last 2 years, C&F has really like moved to a technology-based platform, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I sent you the app.
Yeah.
So
And I think I can post it in the video link too, so then they can just click on it in the future. So
right. So for my referral partners, I can actually send you a link, which is a phone application that is co-branded for both of us. So it has your picture and your contact information and your email as well as mine. So when you come across a borrower, and this is why I think it's really great, and this has happened to me when I was a real estate agent, you come across somebody that wants to buy a house and you take them to look at a couple houses and they're not really pre-approved, but you do it anyways because you're like, kind of excited, or they're good people or whatever. And you take them to this house and they're like, I love this house. And you're like, well, you pre-approved? And they say no. Well, with this app, you can send them the app. They can download it. They can fill out the application, my application, on their phone on the drive home, instead of going home, cracking a bottle of wine, sitting on the couch, watching TV, waiting for a loan officer to call them back. They can be proactive and they can just do it.
Right.
And the sweet thing about it is along the way, you get notifications as a realtor. So what's going on in the loan. And it's not, I mean, obviously I'm communicating it as well, but it'll pop up on your phone, like application, started, application complete, documents uploaded.
That's huge. Because no offense, I don't really necessarily need an update every time something happens, like for you to call me or text me, but there is sometimes in the middle of a couple transactions, you're like, oh God, what's happening? And if you can just go to the app and just pop it up, I'm like, oh, they're already through underwriting. They're, the appraisal already has been ordered. Like, those are things that I think as real estate agents, we know that we need to know about, but when you run 100 miles an hour, it's sometimes to keep up with everything.
Right. I mean, if you have more than one transaction going on at one time, it's nice to be able to just look and see,
right.
And hey, here's where we're at. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me and like doing the spotlight, because I know you're a damn good loan officer, but I also know you're a good person. I think the big thing is, we've all said this with every person that we partner with, is like, yes, you're expected to do your job. You're expected to do it legally, ethically, morally correct, but you have to be a good human too. Like, if the world's hard enough to deal with jerks and people that that just don't actually care about people. And I just appreciate you doing, like, sharing, your hobbies and your family, all that personal information, because I think that's what it's all about is, yes, you get a loan done. Yes, there's the big why of why you're a loan officer, but if you're a jerk, probably not going to do business with you anyway. So, well, good. Well, anything to end with, anything random about yourself personally, anything about the loan process, anything to close us out that you can think of that would kind of tie it all together? Or any words of advice?
Right now, what's the date today? It's June 9th, 2022. Don't sleep on the adjustable rate mortgage. They're coming back.
Really?
That's balloons.
There's nothing. I've always believed in a good balloon, so
I got a great one right now.
Yeah, I got
a great balloon product.
I think that that terminology is just, unfortunately, some people used it the wrong way back in the day. But balloons, if they're used the right way, and again, you're a numbers guy, you could show them mathematically that that's a better plan. So interesting, adjustable and balloon. Okay, good. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, and appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.